You know this plant, you've seen it a million times, right? Maybe you've even spent a whole afternoon pulling it out of your garden. But what if I told you it's hiding this incredible secret right there, under our very noses? So let me ask you this. Think about the worst weed in your garden. You know the one I'm talking about, right? The one that just keeps coming back no matter what you do. Now, what if that exact same plant was actually a superfood? I mean, more nutritious than some of the stuff you're paying good money for at the supermarket. Crazy, right? Okay, let's be real here. This plant, it has a major PR problem. For most of us, it's just a nuisance. Its name is lamb's quarters, but we probably just call it that annoying weed. And it's not just us gardeners. Agricultural scientists, they don't just dislike it, they have it on a list of the world's most damaging crop invaders. It's seen as this aggressive threat that just takes over everything. Think of it like the ultimate party crasher. It just shows up everywhere, uninvited. Potato fields, construction sites, and yeah, right in the middle of your prized tomato patch. It's competing with everything you actually want to grow. And pretty much everyone feels this way. Farmers absolutely curse it. Gardeners spend hours yanking it out. There are whole research programs dedicated to figuring out how to kill it. It's basically public enemy #1 in the plant world. I guarantee you've seen this thing. It just shoots up like a rocket. Sometimes it's waist high before you know it. The real giveaway, though, is its leaves. They've got this kind of fine, white, powdery dust on them, especially on the new growth. And the shape? It's a little bit like a goose's foot. In fact, that's one of its old nicknames. Okay, but here's where the story takes a huge turn. Because before this plant was a menace, it was a meal. And not just a meal. It was a full-on staple crop that people relied on for thousands of years. I mean, this plant's history is just wild. We're talking more than 5,000 years ago, Neolithic farmers were intentionally growing it. Fast forward to the Iron Age, they found its seeds in the stomachs of preserved bog bodies in Denmark. It was literally their last meal. And by medieval times, it was just a regular vegetable you could buy at the market, sold under the name fat hen. And the scale we're talking about here is just staggering. Archaeologists found one single pot in Switzerland from the Neolithic period, and inside, over 54,000 lamb's quarter seeds, all stored away on purpose. You know, as the researchers who found it said, that's not an accident. That is a crop. This was farming, plain and simple. And for centuries, especially for poor families in Europe, this plant was the furthest thing from a weed. It was their safety net. It was this quiet little insurance policy growing in the background. If the main harvest failed, lamb's quarters was what they could count on to fill the soup pot. So you gotta ask, why was it so important? Well, the answer is all in the nutrition. And this is where this humble little weed gets seriously impressive. All right, let's look at vitamin A. A small serving of lamb's quarters has over 11,000 units. To put that in perspective, that's a good deal more than you get from spinach. And it's the same deal with calcium. Lamb's quarters is packing over 300 milligrams. Spinach, it's sitting around 99. We're talking more than 3 times the calcium. That's incredible. And the list just keeps going. Magnesium? Some studies show it has up to 5 times more than other greens we grow on purpose. See, it's not just edible, it's exceptionally good for you. So you've got a decent amount of protein for a leafy green. It's loaded with vitamin C, iron, potassium. It even has some omega-3s. This wasn't just get-by food. It's basically a supercharged version of spinach growing for free. Okay, so at this point, you're probably thinking, what's the catch? And yeah, like spinach, it does have stuff like oxalates. But here's the thing. Our ancestors knew exactly what to do. The way they prepared it, just boiling or sautéing the leaves, easily brings those levels down to where they're perfectly safe. With normal cooking, it's really a non-issue. So, if this thing is an ancient superfood, how on earth did it become the enemy? Well, the answer has nothing to do with the plant itself. It has everything to do with business. See, when farming was on a smaller scale, lamb's quarters was just there. It was tolerated, maybe even welcomed. But once industrial agriculture came along with these massive fields of just one crop, suddenly, this backup food got a new label, a weed, and it was a weed that had to be destroyed. And the reason why is all in the numbers. They're pretty stark. In a modern farm setting, this plant is a fierce competitor. It can knock corn yields down by 13%, soybeans 25%, and sugar beets a staggering 48% loss. To a big industrial farm, those numbers aren't just annoying, they're a huge economic threat. And so, a war was declared. And we're not just talking about pulling weeds here. This is a high-tech battle. They use special herbicides that kill it before it even sprouts. They till fields in the middle of the night so the seeds never see sunlight. They've even developed custom fungi designed for one purpose, to infect and kill lamb squatters. Which brings us to the really big question. Why? Why spend all this money and effort to kill a food source? The answer is actually pretty simple. Lamb's quarters doesn't just compete with corn for sunlight. It competes with the entire business model of modern agriculture. Think about it. You can't patent it. It doesn't need special commercial fertilizer. It doesn't need pesticides. It produces its own seeds for free. Basically, it exists completely outside of corporate control. And that brings this whole story right back to us, to you and me, standing in our gardens, looking at this plant, and deciding what to do about it. Because here's the incredible thing. The plant didn't vanish. It's still here, as tough and resilient as ever. What disappeared was the knowledge. That simple, everyday household knowledge of what it was for. That got lost somewhere on the way to giant farms and shiny supermarkets. You know, something your great-grandmother might have taught you without a second thought? Oh, you just pick these leaves and boil them up. That's now become some kind of niche forager's trick. It's become trivia. We basically took a survival strategy that spanned continents and turned it into a fun fact for a dinner party. So the next time you see this plant popping up, what are you going to see? A threat? A sign of a messy garden? Or maybe an invitation? An invitation to remember a piece of our own history and to look a little closer at what's growing all around us for free. Because ultimately, the story of lamb's quarters is pretty simple. The plant is the same plant that filled those Neolithic pots thousands of years ago. The biology did not change. The business model did. And maybe, just maybe, it's time we started remembering what that new model made us forget.